Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope everyone is having a great Monday. I had a pretty good Monday. Today is the first day of spring break, and I thought that maybe I could get out of the house a little later this morning, but I needed to go by the store. So I left at my regular time, and it was a good thing I did because spring break on my side of town was regular traffic. So I'm glad I left early. Hello, Shannon. Hi, Lisa. How is your Monday going? Hi, Debbie. Hi, Linda. How are you? And as many of you know, today, let's see who else is watching. Shannon and Debbie and Linda and Lisa and Lisa. And hi, Kane. Hi, Claylee. How are you? Many of you know that Tonya Sakowicz is coming on, and she's going to be our special guest for this evening. And she's going to tell us all about Tonya. And she is our woman to follow for the month of March. I just want to mention, if you all have any women that you'd like to nominate for the Woman of the Month, please do so. PM me, give me some background information, and we will take that into consideration. I'm not guaranteeing everybody's going to be on because there's only 12 months. So please keep that in mind. Also, if you have any ideas that you'd like to share as far as a show, something that we can build and ask the nanny about, questions that, we can ask other nannies, please feel free to PM me and ask those questions, and we will see about making it into a show. And I am just waiting. There's Miss Tonya. So we're going to get right into it with Miss Tonya. All righty. And for those of you who just came in, hello, how are you? Hi, Tonya.
Hi.
How are
Can you hear me?
you?
I'm well this evening. How are you?
Good, good, good. Oh, your light just came on.
Oh, it flickers once in a while. It's LED and they flicker.
Oh, okay. Because it was dim, and all of a sudden I was like, "Well, what just?"
Yeah.
I thought it was something wrong with my internet because
Nope. It's the light
I've
on
been
this
having a lot
end.
of problems lately. So tell us about yourself outside of NCS, Nanny World, all that good stuff. Tell us about you.
So outside of nanny life and NCS life, I am a mom of two. I have a son who is 13 and a half and a daughter who will be turning 10 in just a couple of days.
Wow.
And they're awesome, but they're a challenge, I must tell you. I joke with Sue Downey all the time that I'm going to bring her out here to help me with these two, because babies are what I know. I don't know any more than any other parent with this age group. But I do love them in spite of that. I have been married for 15 years next month, and to my wonderful husband, Todd. And we recently, about 6 months or so ago, not quite 6 months ago, became dog parents, which is a whole nother world. Puppies are more challenging than babies, for sure. But he's cute. So like the kids, he gets by on cute. In my free time, I love to travel. I like to knit. I like to read, but I like to read mostly for pleasure in my free time. When I'm working, but for my free time, I just like to bury myself in a really good book. And my other absolute passion is scuba diving. And if I have my druthers on any given day, I'd rather be 80 feet under the surface than above it. So.
Well, you're bold.
Yeah.
I like the water when I'm standing at the edge. That's it.
With a cocktail in your hand.
I like the water when I'm standing at the edge. I love the beach. I like watching everybody, doing the parasail and all that good stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
As far as my liking, when I take the kids to the beach, they're usually little. So we just kind of wade in the water, which is my favorite
Right.
thing. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
please don't let me have to take any older children to the beach that I have to go out there with them. And no, no, no. That's
Yep.
I
No.
can, but that's not my favorite thing to do. So
Yeah. No, I love being in the water. And my son, who's 13, is actually now a certified diver. So the two of
wow.
us scuba dive together. So
See, family that scuba dives together stays together,
yeah, something like that.
like that.
Yeah.
So my first question for you is, let me grab my questions. At what age did you know that you wanted to work with children?
I would say probably in junior high school is when I started looking into options of working with kids. And when I was in high school is when I really started narrowing it. And at that time, my goal was to be either a pediatrician or to be like a kindergarten teacher. Because once they're about 5 or 6, they're smarter than me and faster than me. So I didn't want to go much older than that. But I loved working with kids, and I knew I really wanted to do that. I loved babies even then, but I had no idea that I could make a career out of working with babies. So I was looking more towards pediatrics or elementary. I'm actually majored in elementary education when I first started and got as far as my practicum. And I spent 2 weeks in an elementary kindergarten classroom, and that was enough of that for me. And,
Okay.
yeah.
I always say when they get to that point where they have what I like to call mouth almighty, where they constantly talk, and they know
Right?
all this information and they expect you to know all this information, but why this and why that? And I'm thinking, okay, so you know more about this than I do. Why don't you tell me? But I asked you, and I'm like, so that's why I stick with babies and the little, the 2 and 3-year-olds, because I know more than them. We have that in common. I know more than them. Now, tell me, how long have you worked with children? As far as, did you work in high school? Did you start babysitting or anything in high school?
I had my very first newborn at 11 years old. So I was the neighborhood babysitter, and he had a 4-year-old brother and a 2-year-old sister, and he was 2 weeks old. And his mom handed him off to me. I think about that now as a parent, and I think, holy cow, who in their right mind would hand a newborn baby to an 11-year-old?
I know.
But they did. I also had 2 working parents, and my brother was almost 6 years younger than me. And so I helped take care of my brother from a very early age. Hi, Marisa, I see your message. And then I babysat all through high school. I did it in the summers, in between other jobs. And then I started as my first professional nanny job at 19 while I was in college. And I was a live-in nanny for 2 single moms who shared a house.
Wow.
And I've been doing it ever since.
Oh, I started at 11, but it was my cousins. They were 2 and 9 months, but my mom was at home. She's a kindergarten teacher, so she would tell me, okay, now you need to do this. Next, you need to do that. And she would guide me, and that's how I learned. She let me do all the work, but she just kind of guided me. Okay, you need to give her the bottle this way, put her that way. So I feel you at the 11 years old, but not with that newborn. That's scary.
Yeah, and my mom never let me do it when she wasn't home, wasn't in the it was in my neighborhood, and my parents had to be home. And I don't know if it was that time or maybe the next time that I watched him, but he was very, very fussy and crying. And I ended up calling my mom, and she came down and sat down in a rocking chair and said, let's turn these lights down. Let's everybody calm down. Let's rock this baby and pat him and shushing him. All the things that we do anyway. And she kind of showed me how to do it. And from that point on, I was much more confident, and I never had to call her again.
What? And how long did you take care of this newborn?
I worked for that family until he was probably 3. It was just babysitting, for them to go out for date night, that sort of thing.
Deal. Oh,
yeah.
That, oh, it's just scary. That's probably
Yep.
why you are who you are today. Because
It certainly is a part of it.
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's a story to tell. Tell me,
Mm-hmm.
um, why were you drawn to infants as opposed to any other age? I know you talked about the 5-year-olds. You know, some people
Mm-hmm.
like 2 and 3-year-olds. Some people prefer the infants. Why infants?
I think because they're so responsive if you pay attention to them. When I teach my students all the time, the babies, if you watch them, if you observe them, and if you honor what they're trying to show you, they will tell you what they need. They really do.
Yeah.
And I find them so responsive, but I honestly believe working with newborns is something you're born to. You just get them or you don't. I can teach you lots of things. I can give you lots of skills, but you either have it or you don't. And I just understand babies. And I really believe that babies are very much like animals. They know who like them. They understand instinctively who likes them, who gets them, and they respond to that. There was a picture I posted maybe a week ago on my Facebook page that was from a year ago that was on an airplane. And my hashtag was, I still don't know his name, or don't even know his name. But it was just this little baby, and he was across the aisle from me, and he kept laughing and making eyes at me. And pretty soon he was just in my lap, because it happens all the time. And I just get babies, and I love how responsive they are. I love that when you meet their needs, they're just, most of the time, unless something's seriously wrong, they're so content. They're so happy. They're so easily pleased, and so easy to please.
Yeah.
If it's your thing. And so I would have to say, I just love it. I really do. And I always have. And I like toddlers as well. I like preschoolers. They're bright. They're learning. They're all the time moving. As long as, like I said, by the time they're 5, they're faster than me and smarter than me. And then they're not so much. I still like them. I just don't want to work with them every day.
I understand. My husband always gets on to me because we're walking in the grocery store and the babies, they just go, I walk by, I smile and they just start waving and I wave.
Mm-hmm.
And I have
Oh, yeah.
said, you don't know that woman. And he just laughing and turning around, smiling. I'm laughing and turning around. And my husband says, she works with babies every day, so she understands them.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, just tell the whole world. So,
yep. My husband said once when we were still dating and we'd been on a hike and we stopped in a coffee shop and we're looking at a bulletin board. And he said, that's when I knew you really had something special with babies, because all of a sudden I felt something and looked down and this little baby had crawled across the coffee shop and had pulled up on my pant leg and was reaching to be held up.
oh,
And it was just,
that's so sweet.
yeah, it was very cute. So they
my
just know.
Goodness. Okay, so my next question is, what was that pivotal moment that let you know that you wanted to teach others about being an NCS?
Wow. I would say for me, there were probably 2. One is the first time I worked with a mother who said to me, now that you've worked with me, I feel like I can do it. I feel okay. I'm not afraid anymore. And I thought, there's something to this. There's something to this teaching them versus doing it for them. And so that was a really kind of pivotal moment for me that, wait a minute, I need to teach somehow. And I started teaching long before we turned this into a formal business. I've been teaching for about 16 years.
Okay.
And I think for me, the teaching moment was at INA, the first time we ever taught a newborn care specialist workshop. And I taught, hi, Mia, hi, Kate. I see all these messages, sorry. The first time I ever taught a newborn care specialist workshop, and it was supposed to last like an hour and a half. And I ended up teaching the entire day because people kept saying, I want to know more. I want to know more. And I said, well, we have this time during this day because it was on, I don't remember which day it was, but there was no other things scheduled. So I don't know if it was Thursday that year or that was the year we did the conference different and it was Sunday. I don't remember, but I ended up teaching for like 7 or 8 hours that day.
Wow.
And I thought, there is something here. There's something to this.
Yeah.
People, it's not just me that's weird about knowing more about these babies. People are hungry for their information and for their knowledge. And there is something here. But honestly, ultimately, it came down to my husband saying, we have something here and people want it. And we need to do more than just have it be once in a while. Let's turn this into a business. And now, I mean, we're rocking. It's fantastic. And I love teaching. And at the end of the day, the fact that I get to influence and make so many mothers, thanks, Claylee. Claylee says it was a Thursday. She was there. The fact that when I teach students, so say I teach 18 students or 20 students, or like in Seattle, sometimes our classes are well over 50 students in Seattle. That's 50 families.
Yes.
That those students are impacting. But then you think about the fact that they're working with several families a year. Think how many families, how many babies, how many parents I get to make feel safe and confident and capable through those students. So instead of affecting one family at a time, now I get to affect and make a difference for multiple families at a time. And I love that. I love that it spreads far and wide and lots of families and lots of babies are benefiting.
That's 50 times, you know, even if they had 5 families a year each, talking about 250 families, and you're the core of what they learned. And it's like, okay, you're my babies, and now you've grown up, and now I'm sending you out into the world and make you proud. And that is an important, oh my goodness. I wish I had an if of what you have, because I know I love babies. That has been my, I dubbed myself the twin nanny, because I've worked like 10, 11 sets of twins, and all of them are different. But when I listen to you talk on in the Nanny Collaborative, and I listen, okay, Tonya's coming on. Hold on. All right, let me make sure everybody's asleep.
Right.
So that I can come and get some more information, because I know I have a way with babies. I know the way I handle them, but there's always something to learn. There's always more to know. Always learning. And that's just my belief. That both my parents were educators, so they instilled that within me. Always learning something. So I turn everything off, and even if I'm cooking in the kitchen, I'm like, okay, Tonya's on. The last time you were on, I was actually cooking for the family, and I'm typing in messages, and I'm like, okay. And I got the earplugs in my ears, and I'm just working away. I couldn't see you, but I was like, oh, wait a minute. What did she just say? So, yeah, I just wish I had an imp of what you have, that I could, you know, just take on and share too. But
well, I suspect you probably have a lot more of it than you realize. But you know what? You do, essentially, through doing this and the things that you do the same thing that I do. You reach out and you touch people, and it spreads far and wide, far beyond just what you're doing right here, because each of the people watching carries that on to the families that they're benefiting. So don't think that what you do is any different, because it's just as important.
Well, thank you. Okay. My next question. I know you have 3 levels of the NCS. So what determines each level, and why did you decide to separate them the way that you did?
Okay. So we started with our foundational level. And our foundational level took a little bit different approach. because I wanted to design it for the child care professional. We wanted to spend time going really deep into subjects instead of going just kind of broad and touching a little bit on everything. But what we realized through doing the foundational class, even though it is an information-packed weekend, I tell the students all the time, it really should be 3 days, but we try and cram it hard into 2 so that we can honor the fact that most people are still working Monday through Friday, and they don't have to take time off work. So, you know, we're like, look, you got something to say, you got a question, you better keep it short, sweet, and to the point, because we got a lot to cover. But what I realized is that I wasn't even then really going as deep as the students wanted to go. And I wasn't able to teach, even within that time period of packing so much information in, I wasn't able to teach as much as they wanted to know and as much as I wanted them to know.
Okay.
So then we created our advanced level, and we sought a lot of input at the advanced level of what do you really want to learn about. So a lot of people, for example, wanted to know about working in a high profile home and how that's different than working in the homes of our standard clients.
Right.
Because there are a lot of differences in working in a high profile situation. And so we developed a thing about that. We had people who wanted to know about working with higher order multiples. That's, you know, quadruplets and up. And so we developed a whole thing on working with higher order multiples, all kinds of things with the advanced level. But then we had more people who were saying, we want more, we want more, we want to go really deep, we want to keep learning. So then we created our elite level program, which has specific prerequisites. So you have to have done the foundational, you have to have done the advanced, or if you haven't, you have to do it within a certain time frame to get started. You have to have a certain experience level. You apply to our elite program, and most students are accepted, not everyone is. And then so we have our new elite and experienced elite. Each of those programs are a year long. And then we still had students who said, I want even more. And I said, okay, but we're going to do this a little differently. And we developed the Master NCS program, and actually went through a whole process of creating that differently. There's some things that are similar to the elite, but many things that are different in that program. And so we went to the master level program, and that's a year-long program. So the students who commit to go all the way to becoming a Newborn Care Solutions Master NCS are students who are seriously committed to really having a depth of knowledge that far surpasses what most people have. But I will say there are probably still plenty of people in the NCS world who have that same level of knowledge without ever having done a training. But we really spend a lot of time going deep. And another main reason we did it is because we find that parents tend to listen more if we can explain the why behind what we do. And so everything that we do even in our foundational, but especially in our elite and our master level programs, are really designed to understand the science and the why behind everything, so that we can explain to parents. And we teach how to research, we teach how to evaluate research to find out if it's credible or not. And then we teach how to take that research and turn it into something that a parent can digest and understand.
Okay.
And we find they listen more and they respect more. And I'll tell you, our elite and master level students are rocking it. They are amazing. They are so incredibly talented, and they are so busy. It is not to be believed. So that's a good thing too.
That is a good thing. That is an excellent thing. Now, what made you determine the length of time? I know the foundational part is 2 days. So you jump from 2 days to 1 year. Is this on the job training, and you go to class and then you're on the job at the same time that as you're learning, kind of like student teaching?
Sort of. So to get into our elite level program, you have to have a certain level of experience working as a newborn care specialist already. Okay. And so you can take the foundational. If you take the foundational, you can move on to the advanced. If you have relevant experience and other education, you can take our advanced. You can't go into our elite program without having actual newborn care specialist experience. So they already have to have a certain level. And then there's monthly training. So every single month we have a topic. We have a whole list of topics that the students select from each year, and they vote on and decide what they want to learn. And so we have a monthly training every single month. We have bonus special trainings for the students that are extra beyond that, that are not required, but they can attend. So we have extra things for them. Like when we're developing a new program this year. And so there will be like a shorter sample teaching for our elite students that will be optional, but it's available to them. We make other things available. They have one-on-one mentoring with me. They have unlimited email access to me. They have their own Facebook group for mentoring and assistance. They obviously are all working as newborn care specialists at that point. Some of them are still nannying as well and working newborn care specialist jobs at night. And then we also have our annual retreat. And I will tell you, after the first year, the annual retreat is now a do not miss event. The students are like bugging me on like January 3rd. When are we scheduling the retreat? When's the retreat going to be? What are we going to? And so we bring in guest speakers. Carolyn Stuhlberg has been a guest speaker at our retreat. She has the Alexandria School. Courtney Gibson and Annie Duguid were our guest speakers last year. It was phenomenal. And we teach really amazingly in-depth things like working with infants with reactive attachment disorder and the development of the human infant gut biome. That's how deep we get into a lot of things. And we have a great time because it is a retreat. So we have a private chef, we have yoga, we have lots of time for relaxation as well.
Go back to the private chef.
Oh yes, we have a private chef who comes in and cooks all weekend.
I can do that.
Yeah. So we do that. So it's a year-long program because we go so much more in depth into topics than we're able to do in a weekend class.
Okay.
And so it takes longer, and that allows them time to focus and learn and to utilize the one-on-one mentoring and to utilize the groups and the emails to really focus on any areas that they feel maybe they need some personalized work on. And that allows us to do that and really focus intensely on what they're doing. And they, of course, develop, they network with one another and develop relationships with one another. And in the newborn care world in particular, it's really critical to have other people that you know and trust, because there are times when people get sick. There are times I couldn't do it, but Marianne, who's here in Phoenix, called me once and said, I'm in Flagstaff and I have a flat tire. Can you cover for me tonight? And knowing that you have people that you trust who can do fill-in work and that you understand that are trained in ways that are similar to how you do it can be really beneficial. So it really enhances their work career as well, because there's job sharing that goes on. Or there's, I can't fill this job, I need someone, and they have people that they know and trust. And so it benefits them in that way also.
Great. I need to get into that world, the ACS village, should I say.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what is the greatest pleasure that you get from teaching about babies?
The greatest pleasure that I get from teaching, honestly, is the same thing. It comes back to that mom that said to me, I feel confident. I feel like I can do this. When a student walks out of my class, or a student gets to the end of a mentoring session, a one-on-one session, for example, and says, I feel empowered. I can do this. I really feel much more confident in my ability to do my job. Then I know ultimately a family and a baby are going to benefit, because they take that confidence back. And many times I'm teaching them things they already know instinctively. They just don't realize they know it. And so I'm giving them the science to back it up. But more importantly than that, because I've given them the science to back it up, I've given them confidence. And that confidence is huge in working with families and working with babies, because Parents and babies sense our stress. And if we're stressed and we're not confident in what we're doing, then that can make a big difference in how those families flourish or they don't. And so when a student walks out of my class and says, I feel confident, I feel empowered, wow, I knew a ton about babies, but I know even more now.
Yes.
That just is so huge to me. That is so satisfying, so gratifying to me to know that I'm making a difference in an individual student's life, and through that student making a difference in the lives of families.
Good. Good, good. Now, tell us about the sleep training. What makes your method so special?
Honestly, my method isn't that special. It's not that hard.
Okay.
It's really not. At the end of the day, one of the key things that I do is we pay attention to what babies are showing us, because they will show us their need. They will show us they're tired. They will show us they're hungry. They'll show us that they're overstimulated. They'll show us what we need, what they need, if we pay attention to them. And if we are meeting those needs, if we're observing, if we're busy watching the baby instead of watching our phone, if we're busy watching the baby instead of a computer or a television, if we're paying attention and interacting with them, seeing what they need and meeting those needs for food, for proper stimulation instead of overstimulation, if we're meeting their needs for proper sleep during the day, if we're paying attention, they will organically sleep through the night all on their own. Yes, you do need to know some of the basics. You need to know that that first longer stretch of sleep is going to come earlier in the evening, and they're going to wake up a little more as it gets closer to morning. There's certain things certainly that we need to know. But the key to doing this and doing it well, of course, assuming that the baby is neurologically and physiologically healthy,
Right.
because that obviously is a factor.
Yeah.
But assuming everything else, assuming those things are right, everything else is pretty simple, as long as you pay attention to what the baby is showing you and meet that need. And when we do that, they sleep through the night between 12 and 16 weeks, almost all the time. There's always going to be an exception. There's always going to be a sensitive baby. We always have to remember that every baby is an individual and we meet individual needs. There's no one size fits all, but there is here's the pattern. And if we follow that pattern, then that baby will organically sleep through the night, almost always.
And there you have it.
It's really not that hard. It's not a big
all
secret.
About, I tell my husband when I notice things and I say, well, this has changed. How do you know that? I said, I'm sorry. It's called occupational hazard. I pay attention.
Right.
Pay attention to patterns. I pay attention to what's going on. I pay attention to, I know the baby that I watch right now, when she goes like this, it's time to go to sleep. Because this is her telltale sign. If she grabs my ears, I'm sleepy.
Yeah,
and
exactly. You pay attention.
This, and then it's back to the ears. I know she's sleepy. And if I lay her down, she sits there, she plays a little bit. I turn on her little ocean music, and she's off to La La Land. It's the
and I will tell you, my son knew I was going to be a much better nanny than I am a mom. And so he decided I needed a really clear clue. So for every nanny out there who knows anything, when my son was a baby, he used to go like this.
Oh!
When he was tired, which for those who don't know, that's sign language for sleep. And it was like, you're going to blow this mom gig. You're really going to blow it. I'm just going to have to make it really clear for you.
Oh my goodness.
So I got off easy because he just signed it to me. But every baby will show you.
Yes.
They absolutely will.
They will show you. If you're paying attention, you pick up on everything. You know, I often say that, you know, it's because I pay attention. I said, it's my job to do observations. It's my job to do anecdotal notes. It's my job to do all these things and write these things down. When I notice something different, when I notice a different pattern, when I notice different words, I said, I write things down because, you know, most of my parents take this book to the doctor's office. This is what Angela said. This is what happened this day. This is what happened
Right.
then. This is when it changed. So, and I write these things down so that parents will know your child has conquered this milestone. Your child has done something different. Your child is growing. Your child has, you know, it's this stage of life, that stage of life. And
Right.
when I had a child that started separation anxiety, and mom didn't know what was wrong with him. And I was like, well, what's going on? She said, well, he just all of a sudden just starts crying when everybody comes over to the house. And if I leave the room, he's looking for me. I said, he has separation anxiety. I said, will he go to just anybody? She said, he used to. I said, not so much anymore. She said, yeah, and it just started a couple of weeks ago. Some of the same people that I know they came to visit him. I said, how long has it been since they've seen him? Oh, it's been a couple of months. I was like, well, that baby doesn't know anymore.
Right.
They don't remember it, out of sight. Fine. Unless they see you every day and they hear your voice and they know you and your mannerisms. I said, no. I said, and then most people come in and they just kind of pick up the baby and they assume that they're going to be happy. No, you're scaring that child. Leave them alone.
Right. Exactly.
They have to know that mom and dad trust you before they can trust you.
Right.
So when I told her, she said, that was so simple. I should have thought of that. I was like, that's what I'm here for. So
that's right.
But yeah, you have to know these things. Babies will tell you everything if you just and pay attention. They will tell you everything. Now I have one last thing to ask you. I was going to say one, but as many as you want to give. Pieces of advice that you have for us, for those of us who want to go into become an NCS, or those of us who are seeking out training, or kind of teeter-tottering, maybe I do, maybe I don't. What's advice that you can give us?
So what I would say is be sure of what you want and what your passion is. I see a lot of people go into NCS work thinking, wow, I hear I can make a lot of money doing that. Or they go, I'm slowing down a little bit as a nanny. And so maybe I should work with babies because I don't have to be quite so energetic. And what you need to know is this is hard work. It is physically demanding on your body. It's hard on your social life. It's hard on a marriage if you have a marriage or a partner. It's hard on your family. It's long hours. And it's if you're working only the shorter shifts, you're working overnight shifts most of the time. And that has its own set of complications if you don't manage your life well and practice really good self-care.
Yes.
But so I would say know what your passion is. And if your passion is newborns and infants, then don't let that scare you off. Don't be afraid of it. Because if it's your passion, then you will do wonderfully regardless of the difficulties. There is truth when they say, do what you love. And if you love it, it will not feel like work. I have been doing this for 33 years and I still love it. Are there days when I'm frustrated or irritated or whatever? Yes. But you know what? I still love getting to work with families. I still getting to love working with students because ultimately I get to work with families. So be sure that if you decide that you want to go into work as a newborn care specialist, that you really are passionate about working with babies, because it is long hours, it is hard work, and you have to earn your way up just like you did as a nanny.
That's right.
When you started as a nanny, you have to work your way up and earn it. And as far as education goes, there are lots of opportunities. You can self-educate if you are really highly motivated, but part of the reason that the training is out there now and why it exists is because there are a lot of people who don't want to have to do all the research that I do, right? I do tons and tons and tons of research all the time. And medical journals are boring.
Yes,
but that doesn't,
I totally agree with that one. Yes, they are.
Right? So what I would say is look at the different options. Be real about where you are in your career and what your skill set is. Look at the different options, see what they offer, talk to multiple people. Don't talk to one person, don't talk to two, talk to 10 or 15 different people and find out their experiences. In an ideal world, talk to people who've gone to multiple trainings with multiple instructors, because then you can get the different viewpoints and start to get a feel for which training is going to be the right one for you.
Right.
Because everybody has a lot of things that they do the same, but there's also a lot of things that we do a little differently. And so one training might be right for you at one point in your career, a different training might be right at a different point in your career. So getting that feel for what is right for you is ultimately going to be your best bet. And it doesn't all have to come from one place. There are many students who take training from multiple instructors and find that that makes them much more well-rounded. And it really just depends. Our training is specifically designed for those who are already professional nannies. So we don't spend a lot of time on things like changing a diaper or making a bottle or things like that. We spend a lot of time on a lot of other things, but those skills are really important and not everybody has them.
Yes.
And if you don't, then we're not the right training.
Right.
Because we don't spend the time training. So find out, be honest about where you're at, and then find out what a training truly offers and talk to lots of people and then make your decision based on that. And then you said it beautifully right in the beginning. Never stop learning. Anybody who thinks they know it all shouldn't be working with babies at all.
That's right.
Because I've been doing this for 33 years and I never stop learning. I continually learn. And our students, anybody who's drawn to the trainings that we offer, also understands that and has that mindset. And so anybody who thinks I don't need any more training, I've worked with babies and I don't need to learn anything, they shouldn't be working with babies at all. So you said it beautifully right in the beginning. We never, ever stop learning. And as long as you have that mindset that you're continually learning and that at the end of the day, the best teacher is right there in front of you, then you're going to be great at this. And I have no doubt of that. And people will be drawn to where they're drawn for training. They'll find the right thing. And never forget, training is not an expense. Training is an investment, and that investment is in you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying. Thank you for saying that. And because I used to think, okay, when I was in college, I was like, man, I got to pay all these fees. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then as I got older and got into my career, and I realized owning my own business, investing in me, so that I can go to the next level, I can count it as an expense on my taxes.
Right. But even better.
But yes, that's the plus of the expense. But it's not an expense in exchange of, okay, well, I got to pay for this class. No, you go to class, you learn more, because the world is always changing. Medicine is always changing. Things are always changing. There's always some new diseases coming out. The flu has how many strands? Yeah. You just think about something that little, but then babies are born with these new diseases that they come out with, and you don't know them, and you don't know what to look for, and you don't. That was one of the reasons why I took special education classes. That's why I got certified in special education, because I know parents don't recognize, or they are in denial of what's going on with their children. And when someone like me comes in and you're like, and you keep talking and you keep working and out and observing and start talking to the parents, and they're in denial. And I have several pediatrician friends that live in DC, and I'll call them up. I'm like, look, what's the latest on this, and this? Because I have a child
Mm-hmm.
that I think may be, borderline, and they tell me, okay, so are they doing this? And I tell them what I observe, and I tell them, the reaction to when I ask them questions or when I do certain things. And they say, well, you might want to talk to the parents and see, have them get checked out. And I've had several children that were, one was diagnosed as autistic, but he had learning delays. And well, he wasn't autistic, he was just had learning delays, and he needed speech therapy, and he's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
because he wasn't talking by a certain age, and his confidence level in talking was not up here, so he
Right.
chose to be quiet. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
that he couldn't talk, it's just that he wasn't confident enough in what he was saying. Once they got the
Mm-hmm.
speech therapy, it was done. It was,
Right.
I came in and started doing sign language with him, and he started laughing at me and started signing back at me. And then when I came in, every time he would ask, sign to his mom, when am I coming? When am I coming? Because I only did date night with them.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like every other weekend I was there. And then it was like every weekend. And when I came in, he
Mm-hmm.
was like, he would just point and go like this. And I was like, yes, that's what that is. And I
Mm-hmm.
was signed for him. I was signed what he
Right.
wanted. And it opened up a whole new world of communication. And he was confident. And then he started speaking. And it
Mm-hmm.
was just the miracles that happen in children. And that's why I do what I do. Because I come in,
Mm-hmm.
I notice the problem, I pay attention. And like you said,
Right.
pay attention, just pay attention. But it just
Right.
warms my heart and overjoyed. I just get so overjoyed when these little aha moments happen and my babies get it, or they build confidence, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, and I come home and I tell my husband, he's like, okay, okay. I was like, you don't get it.
Right.
You have to have
Right.
the heart of a nanny or the heart
Right.
of a child care provider to know what I'm talking about, to get as excited as I get about it, because
Mm-hmm.
that's a big deal. It really
Right.
is. It's a big deal. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you just don't get it. So
I know.
I
Yeah.
I know his,
That.
he's excited for me because I'm excited.
Right. For sure. That's a lot of why in our program we teach so much medicine,
Yes.
because our newborn care specialists are observing and seeing things, and because we teach them about common and less common medical conditions of newborns, they recognize things. We have had multiple students who recognize tongue and lip ties that were missed by pediatricians,
Mm-hmm.
missed by lactation consultants, and our students recognize it because we teach it. We've had a couple of our students who have saved the lives of the babies that they're working with because they recognize pyloric stenosis for what it was. Instead of just regurgitation or instead of reflux, they recognized that it was pyloric stenosis because we taught them in class. So we spend a lot of time on medical things, teaching them to recognize all of these different conditions that newborns specifically, we teach all about newborn jaundice in our elite level program, because with the new American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology recommendation of delayed cord clamping, we're seeing a whole different kind of jaundice now in newborns that we never saw
Right.
before. And so we teach about all of these medical things, and our students are making the difference in the lives of these babies and these families because they learned, and then they're observing, and they're doing the same thing that you did there, is that they're sharing that information with pediatricians and helping. And that's part of what we teach too, is that it is our responsibility to be willing to work with healthcare providers and provide the information that's necessary in order for families to communicate well. And that allows a faster, better diagnosis of these children many times.
Okay, has a question. She said, I know you said this on a post a while back, but is there online classes or only in person?
Excuse me. Sorry, I'm on the very tail end of having been a nasty sinus infection a couple weeks back. So we have classes both live and online. So our foundational class and our advanced class are offered online all the time, as well as our sleep solutions and green is the new black. That's working with families that want to go green. So all of those are available online, and our online programs are accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Log in, log out, whatever works for you. Do it during nap time, do it on the weekend, whatever. So those are all available online. And then throughout the year, we teach our foundational multiple times throughout the year, all around the country. So I just came back from LA last weekend. So I was out in Los Angeles with a fabulous group of students. We're going to be in Boston this year. We're going to be in Chicago this year. We're going to have our advanced in Seattle in the fall. And we may offer one or two others depending on what my schedule allows.
Are you coming to Dallas? Dallas?
We may be working on some Dallas options. It may not necessarily be me teaching it, but we're working on Dallas options.
Okay.
I'm teaching for the National Nanny Training Day online. So we're doing together with Adventure Nannies. For those nannies who don't have something in their area, or who can't make it to their local event, or maybe those nannies who aren't comfortable going to if there's a local event, and maybe they have a little bit of anxiety about doing that. So together with Adventure Nannies, we're doing the first online National Nanny Training Day.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Technology, yay!
Yeah, so we have that. I'm teaching at INA this year. So we have lots of different things, but yeah, we definitely have both online and in-person training for our foundational and advanced, and then online for sleep solutions and working with families that want to go green. And then of course our elite and master level programs are a combination of online and live.
Okay. Okay. Now, can you put all that information in for us so that anyone that's watching or comes back to watch the rebroadcast of this, so they can just immediately go and just click and go online and sign up and do what they need to do so they can get connected and get busy learning, because like it's so important. It's so important. It's so important.
Yeah. Will I be able to add it as a comment at the end?
Yeah.
Or a separate
you can add it as a
okay.
comment at the end, and
okay, perfect.
Everybody can view it, and they can come back here and see, or they can put your website on there and your Facebook page on there, all the information that you have about the Go Green and the newborn care solutions, and all the different stages and where they're going to be. So yes. And does anyone else have any questions?
I see.
Because I
see Emily's
know there's a delay on my side. You probably see them before I do, because there's a delay. Oh, Lynn says she's in Canada.
Right.
Well, hey, then online is for you.
Yeah. we are talking about maybe going to Canada this year. We've had multiple requests, but we don't have it officially scheduled. So we'll see.
Okay, Lynn, you might want to keep in touch, because she may be coming your way. Where you're located in Canada, but she'll be coming your way. So, but thank you so much, Tonya, for sharing all this information with us, and for sharing your story with us. And for those of you who don't know, Tonya is an award-winning teacher. She has many accolades to her name, not just newborn care specialist. She does it all. And when I say all, I mean all. She's several different affiliations. But I'm so glad that you came and you shared your information with us and shared this time with us. It has been very informative, And I've learned some things tonight. When you talk about jaundice and you're talking about the reflux, I've had my children, my own personal children, my youngest was jaundice. When he was, they didn't notice it, and I was like, "Why is my baby yellow?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Look at his eyes," you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I was like, "Hello, something's not right here." And that's when they came in and they said, "Oh yeah, okay." And then my middle son, he had reflux,
Mm-hmm.
and he was 6 weeks old. He was like 10.5 pounds. He lost half of his body weight in 1 week.
Holy cow.
Yes. And you talk about a worried mama.
Mm-hmm.
I, I, it just, I tear up every time I think about it because I know how I felt then. I
Right.
thought I was losing my child. And, we were in and out of the hospital for 3 weeks and nothing worked. And I know about the gut thing, and I've talked to Courtney about that. But back then, he's 28, 29 now. Back then, I didn't know anything about gut, all that stuff. All I knew
Right.
the power of prayer, and I said, Lord, what do I
Mm-hmm.
need to do? So I went down to
Mm-hmm.
the gift store, and they had these little jars of baby food, and I started feeding him with my little finger, and he started eating. He started gaining weight. We got out of the hospital, and he's been eating ever since. Now, I did not say that to tell you to feed your child. I'm not doing that. I'm not saying that, because
Right.
there are studies that say you don't do that. But for me, as a worried mom at 22, 23 years old, uh, something had to work, because the
Right.
IVs, and every time they would take the IV out, he'd lose weight. They put the IV back
Mm-hmm.
in, of course, he gained weight. But yeah. So again, do not do that. Do you hear me? Don't do it.
Yeah.
That was 29 years ago. Don't do it today. So I just need to make that point clear. But as a worried mom, when you're the mama, you can do that. Take that chance.
Yeah.
I needed something to save my child, and I
Mm-hmm.
what I felt was best, because back then I did not know. Today I know better.
Mm-hmm.
When you know better, you do
Mm-hmm.
better.
Right. Exactly. And that's huge, because that's all part of the learning process. And people think, oh, well, I did that, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. When we learn and we know better,
Yeah.
then we do better. We change how we do things.
Yes.
And I understand, because you know what? I was a mama who had a baby who was birth injured. And when our babies are hurt or our babies need something, we move mountains.
Yeah.
And mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
I've been there and done that.
Okay.
So I didn't feed him baby food at that point, but
I,
I certainly have had to go against the grain in order to get my child what he needed.
yes. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Zadie said, "So glad I stumbled on this. Now I just did a training yesterday on lip and tongue ties." Well, good for
Yeah.
you. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of trainings. Now, do you do
Mm-hmm.
lactation training too?
I do not, because I am not a lactation educator.
Okay.
And so I stay within my scope. I teach on the things that I know about and that I am qualified to teach on. And when I'm not, I bring in experts. And so our elite level training does include a whole thing on lactation. But I brought in an IBCLC. Kimberly Beppler teaches that for our program,
Okay.
because she's one of the best out there. And we have two IBCLCs on our mentoring team who are available to our students as resources, because they know way more than I do, and they are trained better than I am. And I don't ever want to I don't ever want to tell my students that I have all the answers, because I don't have all the answers,
Right.
but I know where to find them when I don't have them. And so I bring in the best of the best for them.
And that's why you're here, because I don't have all the answers, but I know how to connect with people and connect people with people who know what they're doing, how to do it, and direct them in the right direction. That's what Ask the Nanny is about. We're learning and we're learning and learning, and we keep learning. I have a question.
Yes.
Your lactation specialist, do you have to be in the elite program to learn about lactation, or can you take a lactation class without being in the elite program?
You cannot take a lactation class through us.
Okay.
But there are plenty of other places to take good lactation programs.
Okay.
CAPA, which is the program, I am a trained postpartum doula through CAPA. And our program is CAPA approved for continuing education, which is wonderful. It's something that we got, we finally made that designation. And so they have done that for us, which we love, because then more doulas are learning more intensive newborn care specialist work. But CAPA has a really great lactation program where they do training. And then there are also, oh, looky there, Kelly popped up and she's providing all of our newborn care solutions information. Because I love Kelly.
That is the happy, what did she call it? The happy, I can't remember what she said in your email.
Oh, what is it? She's Chief Customer Happiness Specialist, something like that.
I laughed so hard. I was like, that is the cutest, but it's so true. I was like, I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So Kelly's great. There's a program out in San Diego. I think it's at San Diego State University that has a fabulous program. So there's lots of different options for lactation education. But we do not offer a lactation course because I'm not qualified to teach that. So we do have it for our elite level students, but that is the way we provide it for them. Beyond that, you would have to go through a different organization such as CAPA or the one out in San Diego. And Kelly's posting that as well.
Yay. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for being our happy specialist tonight. I can't remember what name you called yourself, but thank you. Thank you for making us happy. I really like that.
Right.
So thank you, Tonya. Thank you for everything and for all that you do for our nanny and NCS and doula. Let's just say the child care world. Anything that deals with children, I think you have your hand in all of that. So thank you for everything that you do. I don't know how you do all of that, but thank you. Thank you. And thank your husband too for, I shouldn't say allowing, for sharing you with us. There you go. For sharing you.
Yeah.
Thank him for sharing.
Yeah. And absolutely. I'm always happy to give of my time whenever I can. And to be honest with you, it is because of my husband and because of Kelly, who is our virtual assistant. Without them, I could not get done everything that I get done. They do a really great job of supporting me so that I can do what I'm good at and let them stay focused at what they're good at. And that really is a lot of how it's how it gets done every day.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone behind the scenes that help.
Right.
And those who are in front of the camera too.
Right.
Thank you.
Now, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And we will see you all next week. I have a special show. It's a secret. So you'll have to come and find out. Or you'll probably find out on Thursday. But you'll have to wait and find out. Thanks again, Tonya. And we appreciate you. And we will see you all also next week. Same time, same place.
All right. Thanks, Angela.
You're welcome. Bye. Have a good night.
You too.